them to you guys. So, hi, welcome everyone, and this is our second discussion on this same topic. The last discussion was a very groundbreaking discussion, and I'm welcoming everyone, and it was a genuine pleasure to have you all here. And my name is Gulshan. I'm a senior AI consultant working with Techno Exponent, and I work directly with our founder and CEO, Dr. Sabyasachi Saha. And now, for those who might be wondering what exactly is Techno Exponent, we are a 14-year-old IT firm based in Miami, Florida, and we have been laser focused on bringing real innovation to sectors that truly matter, such as healthcare, finance, education. And we are not just about building tech that takes tech, we are about creating solutions that solve real problems, like improving lives, drive meaningful changes. That's exactly what we are here to discuss. Revolution in financial services through innovation in AI, basically AI and fintech. And we are incredibly fortunate to have you all on the board. And there are a few other members who have already joined. Yeah. So let me start introduce. We have Dr. Sabyasachi Saha, who's a PhD in AI and founder and CEO of Techno Exponent.
Hi
And
everyone, happy to talk to you. Thanks Gulshan for introduction.
yes, and we also have Samantha. Just give me a minute. Yeah, we have Samantha, who is founder. I'm sorry, I cannot find it. Okay, we have Samantha, who is vice president of worldwide marketing of Text Kernel. We have Ellen, CTO and CIO of Padega Incorporated, who has been transforming real estate with AI, and also a top 100 AI thought leader. Wow, that's really great. We also have Francesco, speaker, a business narrator, a professor, and a founding member of many, and also he's working with many various scientific committees as well. We also have Kanika, partner of Travel and Payments. Am I missing out any? I'm not sure. We have Raja. Okay, Raja has also joined. Raja Banerjee is our AI head of Techno Exponent.
Hello.
And we also have Rakesh Agarwal here. We have Lewis, and we also have Nina. So today, let's start the discussion AI and fintech. So I would like to start with Dr. Saha. Dr. Saha,
Well,
uh, if I
yeah.
can remember,
hmm
before like 3 or 4 years, AI wasn't that much fruitful with other people. So how we came so far, like from chat GPT to like solving real problems in fintech industries?
Thanks Gulshan and thanks other presented member and dignitary member. They are already doing a lot of work on the AI and as techno exponent as well. So I can tell you Gulshan, like AI is not a buzzword anymore, and in all the applications related to the fintech, AI is one of the popular things. So if you talk about supervised and supervised learning, real-time risk scoring system, KIC automations, everywhere AI is one of the taking a leading role. So recently, one of the use case which we are recently implemented for a project called P.M IST, where this is for that project is using by Disney, Amazon, and some of the big players. So there are a system been implemented for a KYC automation. So using the face and document OCR, this is a real-time validations of onboarding of the user. So it's everything is doing by AI. So this is one of the applications we have built, and these applications are very useful. So I was talking with a bank a few months back. So into the Houston, Texas region. So that specific bank have a similar kind of requirement on the validation of the passport and make sure the passport are not fake. So this is actually a real problem in the industry, like many of the passport been used which is a fake passport and bank account been created. So one of the bank are just for security purpose, I'm not telling the name. So just one of the bank are looking for a similar system, so they will give us a lot of passport data, and those passport data we can use for training our model, and then whenever a new bank account persons are coming to open the bank account, so the passport would be validated whether their passport is real or not. If it is not real, it's a fake, so it will be a alert system is there. So there are a lot of real life problem into the security or into the risk assessment in a fintech. AI is taking a crucial roles. Not only it is helping to secure the system, also it is helping to make a decision making. So another examples I can say you like I have got a data sets of last kind of 6 years where got all the stocks which is been profitable to I mean, not a profitable. I mean, all the stocks where we can people has invested money and that make profit or didn't make profit, make a loss. So all the data sets are there. So we make a model where a decision making algorithm been built up over there, and also the model can take a decision from the new ways, like if you want to invest into this stock whether it is profitable or not, and also like back testing have been very prominent over there, so you can see by yourself that is this particular model what is the ratios of your you have an opportunity of earning or you have opportunity not to earning, and what is the accuracy level. So in a word, like which was previously just as a just as a um, ways the system could be implemented, and right now it is into the real life, and we are having a lot of use cases on that. So in a word, Gulshan, like right now people are not I mean the AI is not limited to the large language models or small language model. It's also of course it's using in many of the use cases, real practical business use cases, and which is solving the problems. But let's other to speak, and I have a lot to speak on that, but let's other to speak. So that was from my end, question.
Thank you so much. And I would like to hear your perspective, Mr. Francisco. I've seen your experience. You have a vast experience. You are also a speaker. You have built multiple businesses. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I'm working AI since '88 because my thesis was on Common Lisp and expert system, and it was based in AI since then. And of course, I founded a lot of company worldwide. I worked for organization like UN and so forth. And the business I worked at for a long time was telecommunication and also financial business. So leaving apart the telecommunication and transportation and media, other stuff, but specifically for financial business, I don't say AI, but statistic as uses a lot of time to manipulate things and to make the thing efficiency. And three words: automation and data-driven decision making. Fraud detection is the main topic where the statistics and AI now has been used for so long. And leaving apart the customer experience way where AI can increase the engagement and also the experience of the user, and also leaving away also the algorithm trading, how to invest in which kind of stocks. Thanks to Trump, it could be very dangerous now, but by the way, and also to understand how the people can behave or how the market can behave. I would like to focalize in this three aspects and how AI changed the way to make automation, because you can define new robot and you can implement a robot process automation. I think is most important because was not possible before, and also smart contract. In addition, or blockchain, I had a conference last week in Rome, how to use blockchain for payment and also AI for automating all the payment. This is the first thing where AI can be applied. The second, of course, is data-driven decision making, because credit scoring, loan underwriting, or personalized financial services has been used for a long time by financial services and bank. But now we can add also data coming from social media for transaction history, and also using new model, we can understand which kind of action a person can make. And the last but not least is fraud detection and risk management, because you can monitor very well the transaction, and you can, using biometric data and the behavior of these people, using also this data, you can spot fraud, and you can define new dynamic profile for risking, and the bank can be more safe, and also our money. That's in short.
Thank you. Thank
Too
you so
much
much.
things, I think, but it's just
I totally
food for thought.
understand. And so let's come to Samantha. Hi, Samantha. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
So maybe just to add on to what's already been said is I think that AI has been in the banking industry for a long time already. I think what you're speaking about is generative AI and how that extends from, like traditional AI, which is really about detection, understanding data and large pools of data. Like you said, Francisco, from fraud detection all the way through to customer segmentation. We've seen that already with traditional AI. But what generative AI is doing, and this really exploded in 2023, and it's now the buzzword, is it creates new content. And so what we're seeing is communication, hyper-personalization is truly something that can be achieved. So so from a text-based perspective, it's helping from a communication perspective. Reports, chatbots are more human-like than ever before. We've seen coding, so smart contracts that could be pulled up. And I think that's where not ChatGPT, but where generative AI is now really allowing banks and even fintechs to develop or to provide that almost human-like experience, but at a much larger scale. And I think that's what we're seeing. What we've seen happening in the last 2 years. I think there's an adoption lag. So we know it can be done, but I think especially for existing banks, it's going to take time for AI to really be integrated into their customer supply chain. From a fintech perspective, I mean, that needs to be baked into the products that we're selling. I think we're short.
Thank you. Let's come to Dr. Nina. Hello, Nina. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. So what are your
Yes.
perspectives? We like every members mentioned how AI is helping, and we came very long way from like ChatGPT to real life implementation, from marketing and all those things. So what are your perspective on how AI is helping fintech industry?
Well, a lot of here in the States around financial institutions, they are doing looking at a lot of the things that have been mentioned before about, scoring and the others, the more forward-leaning financial institutions. The smaller ones are looking at, and organizations are helping them to go deeper into their customers' pocket, to recommend financial solutions to them, and they're still working through that. A lot of them are still, they're making some strides in building a personality around their assistant to help their customers make a connection. And there's been a few smaller institutions that have been successful in that, and the larger ones have as well. There's a lot of conversation even on the payment side of how best to extend that use of AI into payments and moving things forward, especially since that is a part of the industry that has lagged behind and moving forward. If you go to pay a bill, you have the ugliest UI experience you've ever seen, right? So they're looking at trying to move that forward. And then you have other places that are also looking at the use of AI in marketplaces, auction sites, and the other. So there are multiple places where AI is making an impact when money gets exchanged.
Great to hear that. So let's come to Dr. Rakesh. Hello, Rakesh. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I heard the conversation. So the first time I used AI for finance was 5 years back when we were doing, it was a startup. It's doing pretty well now. I moved on though. Was credit scoring using XGBoost models. So we had all this, data scientists and everybody going through up and down. The problem that we got into was, and especially this was more US centric. So people who are more familiar with US markets will kind of relate to this, is that when you reject a loan or deny credit, to be honest, you have to give 3 reasons as to why it was done. And that we found these undeterministic models to kind of find it very difficult to explain why they picked on that parameter and what the person should do to improve their score or whatever action they have to take. That denial letter has to come with 3 reasons. So, and we tried a lot, and it kind of, banks wouldn't approve it because that kind of conflicted with the denial letter that has to go. And then we moved to more deterministic models, which were like simple scoring and weighting and scoring essentially. So yeah, you call that AI, I don't know, but I don't know how that has been solved, that problem of using undeterministic probabilistic models to give reasons of deniability has been solved.
Definitely, we'll definitely discuss about this as well. Let's come to Kanika. Kanika, you there?
Yes,
Hi,
yes.
Kanika. So
Hi.
you have been working with this fintech industry for a while. So what are your perspective?
Yeah, I've spent a lifetime actually in this. A lot of the things I'm going to say have already been said, but specifically from the perspective of payments and digital banking, and then more recently, open banking, it has been revolutionizing the way we know fintech, or before the word was coined, before we knew financial transactions. So from my perspective, we're moving from rule-based logic to more real-time and adaptive intelligence. So rule-based to adaptive in everything from credit checks to client chats. I have a client who is, able to integrate WhatsApp chat for checkout experiences, and they've made it very conversational. And that is possible because of AI. You have smart underwriting. You have where companies are using machine language to evaluate credit worthiness, helping lenders expand across credit for a lot of underserved communities. So, that's the good of it. You're getting customer service automation, conversational AI for banks. In my part of the world, banks like DBS, some of the banks that you might know, Standard Chartered, these banks have automated, I guess the stat was like 70 to 80% of customer queries. Wealth management, personal finance management, like the examples are endless. And a lot of it has been so gradual over the last 5 to 7 years that we are using AI in our financial transactions all the time. And most of us are doing that, and we don't even realize how much AI is impacting the back end of that. So I think it has been transformational, and it'll continue to be transformational. In fact, some of the best of AI, at least in the use of payments, we're still to see.
Thank you so much. Let's come to Lewis. Lewis, I have seen your profile. You are the chief marketing officer of many blockchain companies, like Web3 and blockchain companies, and you're working on various industries. In various companies or in the fintech industries. So, what are your perspective? Are you using AI for your current position, or do you see any implementation of AI that is truly groundbreaking, or you've never expected something like this could happen?
Sure. So I have an AI newsletter. I look at the last 24 hours of headlines for AI news. and break it up into about 32 categories so I can try and understand it. I did that just so I could get ahead, but it's also a solution for the companies I work for, to help them to better understand how AI is moving. To set the context, I mean, with AI as a technology, there's been no physical product like the telegraph, the fax machine, the mobile. So AI is really the fastest diffusion of new technology across our civilization that's ever happened. And it's going across everything. In fintech, I see about 7 different things that are coming up very quickly. The first is the future banker is really an AI agent. AI agents are replacing human advisors in onboarding, underwriting, personalized finance. They're offering 24/7 autonomous financial guidance. The second is, I think the killer app for decentralized finance might be AI, because AI is running simulations, they're managing risk parameters, they're creating synthetic protocols, and they're making DeFi smarter and more adaptive. The next is the smartest asset class is really neural networks. Proprietary AI models are being licensed, tokenized, and traded, and it's turning AI itself into a financial asset and a new investment category. The next is I can think of is credit scores will be dying because behavioral AI is going to replace them. AI is assessing real-time behavior and intent to determine credit worthiness, expanding financial access beyond traditional credit scoring. The next is every fintech is going to become a Gen AI company or get left behind, because generative AI is powering hyper-personalized products, automated compliance, and next-gen user experiences across all fintech platforms. And finally, what probably is most important is the government regulators are training their own AI, and it's watching all of us. And regulatory bodies are deploying these AI models to audit, simulate, and govern fintech systems in real time, which shifts compliance to AI versus AI dynamics. And that's where I see things running.
Great perspective. I really loved it. So Raja, let me come to you. Raja, are you there? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, hi. So my question, it's a bit personal, okay. So my question is, I really I love investment things, but I have zero experience, I have zero knowledge in this thing. So is there anything that AI can do about this thing? Like there would be a like chat bot or something where I can put that, hey, I want to invest this much amount in this thing. Suggest me a few stocks, or so that Dr. Saha already mentioned something like that. So do you see this replacing many people who are they have been advising to people like invest in this stocks, invest in that stock. Do you think AI agents will be replacing them?
I would not say that AI agents can directly replace them, but yeah, there are something called expert advisors. And we, as a company, we create expert advisors based on the historical data. And there are multiple algorithms, especially for trading. Say, for example, you are trading in gold or you are trading in some other trades. And if you have an historical data and if you have done certain transactions before, and if you have certain criteria as an area of interest, we would definitely create an expert advisor. And in the back end of the expert advisor, there's an AI model that learns from your data and keep on advising you like when to buy, when to sell, when to hold. So these are the things that it can assist you with. And one more thing is that since most of the people, they say for example, if somebody has not done trade trades before, he is little reluctant to invest money. So for them, for these kind of people, there's a huge population in our country who we really call underserved population. So who are little lower on the financial side. Now what happens that millions of such people, they lack access to the formal financial activities. Why? Because they are not rich people, they don't have credit cards, they don't have pay slips, they don't have bank accounts. But so now, in absence of these 3 things, it becomes almost impossible for the traditional system to generate any credit score for them. And this is exactly where AI steps in, especially in the microfinance industry. Microfinance could be for poor people, could be for even students. And what AI basically does, that it analyzes the alternative data. Alternative data like mobile phone usage, utility bill payments, how exactly you are interacting with the mobile phone, how much money you are spending in buying stuff using e-commerce applications. So, so AI model can access all this, and it can generate a credit score what should I say, a credit score, or it can prove the credit worthiness of certain people from that community with surprising accuracy. So some organizations, I can name them, who are very active in the microfinance region and who are already using this approach to offer microloans to these people. And the good thing about this that this is the region where the conventional banks cannot reach. So it has become a game changer for the microfinance companies offering credit path to people who were previously almost invisible to the financial system. So whether somebody wants to invest in stock or somebody wants to take a small loan, uh, AI is always there to come up with a prediction with a credit score, or even it can tell like where to invest and when to invest.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this, Raja. So also I believe like fintech industry have been facing a big issue with I guess the security part, the fraud detection part. And I believe like AI has been getting used for fraud detection and all those things. So, is there any specific case studies or I would say like use case have you guys ever seen? I would love to hear about it. Francisco, what are your perspective on the uses of AI for fraud detection in this fintech industry? You
Sorry, I
on
was on mute. Yeah, I was on mute. I think it's good because it can take also very fast data respect of before, and also you can gather from information from social network and also behavior that was not monitored before. So how many time I use mobile handset, as Raja said before. I remember that we implemented as GSMA, that is an association of mobile operators based in Atlanta, Georgia, and London, UK, and Shanghai also. And they started. I started to regulate the business of remittance and also microcredit and microfinancing based on SIM as a secure element. It was, I think, 10 years ago. And we analyze it when some people require a loan or a credit that, and also when send money. But there is a lot of action that was not possible to monitor because the system was not so quick, and also we didn't have so many agents as we have at the moment on mobile handsets. So I think how the person behave and behavior of the single customer using also mobile handset is very important. But I would like to add something that has been told or Lewis or Samantha or anything before. But the thing is that we see fintech as a slice on top of incumbent elephant bank that is not able to act and react fast. I think fintech can be also use it by also taking advantage of AI for stupid general things that the banks has to do, like regulatory technology. I think is the word that we didn't talk about, and helping fintech to automate all this KYC, New York customer, or HML check, or monitoring regularity changes. But it's like the news that we see before. We can see a lot of regulation coming out from nation, continent, and I think generating compliance reports that is not easy for people that is fast enough for young people respect of incumbent bank. I think this could be helpful. And the last thing that I would like to add also, and Ant Financial, I don't know if sometimes somebody is aware of this company. It's Alibaba, I think, company that is making a lot of things on payment with AI for lending and insurance offering to their customer.
Thank you so much. Samantha, would you like to add something?
I think the right person to actually add something here is Kanika, because she touched on fraud in previously. So I think Kanika might actually have more world experience in terms of the question.
Yes, definitely. I was about to come to Kanika before. Kanika, could you please share something where you think the AI is actually helping for fraud detection in the finance sector?
Yes. So, thanks, Samantha, for dodging it to me. I'm just kidding. Yes. So I feel that there has been a big shift between what we used to use fraud detection for before. A few years ago, we were using it for finding out who did it. Now we're looking at predicting who might do it in real time. So, and I'll tell you from a payments perspective specifically, there was a time when we were doing fraud detection. However, so, every payment transaction, a credit card transaction is broken down into two parts, two like big broad. One is when the payment goes through, or you submit the payment, and the other is when it gets authorized. So it's only at that stage, authorization stage, when that transaction actually went to the bank, there would be a check for basic things. Does this person exist? Does the bank account or the card, and I'm making it very big, broad, generic. Does the bank exist? Does the card exist? Some basic metrics. But now it has become really sophisticated to the extent that is the address where the transaction is being conducted, a high fraud area, perhaps, or is this kind of a transaction at this particular time for this particular merchant? Has that been ever, tagged as a potential fraudulent transaction? So just trying to show how it has moved from who did it to who might do it, and that has really changed, the ability to enhance fraud detection. I'll take a few examples that are coming to my mind right now. Behavioral biometrics. I think that is absolutely brilliant. Some companies are doing this already. There is a way to detect fraud by analyzing how user holds their phone or moves their mouse, and some banks like HSBC that I know of are they're already employing this. Or like I was talking about real-time transaction monitoring, there are a lot of companies now who are working with fintechs and neobanks to identify synthetic, like somebody mentioned that term, but in context of DeFi, but to identify synthetic identity fraud and account takeovers even before it's done. And then, MasterCard is in my realm. So MasterCard's decision intelligence, they're using AI to assess transaction risk in milliseconds, reducing false declines. So, okay, nerd speak, but this is really interesting. It has really enhanced the way we do business. We accept cash, or we accept credit, and it has made things like mobile wallets possible. Somebody touched, I think Raja touched upon this, that catering to the underserved and underbanked is extremely important, and this is a way where we can bring the underserved segments of different markets onto the digital platform through mobile wallets, where you don't have to have underwriting and get credit cards. So I feel that from just a simple enhancement of fraud detection, there is a lot of good, and there is a lot of enhancement that can be done and has been done, and it'll keep getting better with time.
So yeah, we came
Can I
to
add?
Yes, yes,
Can I
sure.
now add to that?
Yes, please.
So Kanika, I think what you had said earlier was really pertinent, where you'd said that from a fraud perspective, we had moved from rule-based fraud detection to almost real-time fraud detection, and that's why I thought but I think what you've added here is even better. But I think also what Gen AI is providing is the why, because I think previously what had happened is you were able to see who did it, or maybe it was even based on risk, etc. But the why wasn't necessarily there. So Gen AI is providing enhanced transparency as well as an understanding of what's happened. And it's great that you brought up MasterCard, because they process 143 billion transactions a year. And then Visa blocked 140 billion fraudulent transactions in 2023. So if we look at the volume, this is a volume game. And so AI can only help to improve it.
Yeah, that's really true.
Thank you.
Because this is a very vast amount of data for a human to process. Lewis, would you like to add something to this part?
No, I think Samantha and Kanika are absolutely right. It's a volume game, and AI is the only way to solve it. I also work on the cryptocurrency side, and fraud and scams and stuff are happening there. Not to the extent we see with cash, but nevertheless it's there. And AI, I think, and blockchain are really two amazing tools to help us to solve this problem. Like Samantha said, understand why things are happening, and then the blockchain to give us the transparency to track it down. We're already seeing a number of countries starting to look seriously at stable coins and blockchain technology and so on. And I think it only is going to help with the transparency and really the tracking. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be anonymous, right? Because there is privacy issues and safety issues when you're dealing with unbanked and the underbanked. You've got people in crisis situations, people in unsecure situations. You need to be able to get them finances in a way that's safe for them and for what's happening. And currently I'm working on a number of solutions to do that on the platform I've just joined called Inspire World. And we're looking at the unbanked and the underbanked specifically to figure out how can we prevent human trafficking? How can we help solve this underbanked problem? How can we keep people safe with finance? And the best ways to do that are AI, blockchain, and in many cases, some form of cryptocurrency merged with stable coins and fiat.
Yeah, I would like to add something, if it's possible, Gulshan, about the credit card circuit, because MasterCard and Visa, of course, they are enormous transaction to manage, but they rely on partners because they have the four-party model where there is acquirer, merchant, customer, and issuing bank. So there are four people in the loop where they can rely. I think American Express is doing a good job because they cannot rely like the other one on partners, and they use now neural networks also to make decision tree and understand the fraud on his own and that's it's most important because you need to adapt the model also with geography, customer, and don't rely into any other partner, like could be the local banks or local issuing company. That's just to add this.
Thank you so much. Rakesh, are you there? Yes, would you like to add something? I really like the idea you mentioned earlier that you wanted to build something. Yes, it couldn't happen, but yes, the idea was really great. So would you like to add something for this fraud detection?
No, I just wanted to know if underwriting has been solved, because at that point we couldn't solve it, to be honest with you, basically. Because how do you do, these are probabilistic models, whether you call AI or Gen AI. The moment you move, for fraud detection, yes, it works. But if you have to do underwriting, which is essentially credit rating, and if you have to give 3 reasons, like in the US, I know in India and all, nobody cares. You reject too bad, basically. So, but primarily Asia works that way. Europe, I'm not sure. I think you have to give reasons in Europe, I believe. Or there will definitely be some GDPR there, okay?
Yes, of
And
course.
I know where, yeah, go on, sorry, Francisco.
Yeah, we are GDPR. We are very strict rules about trading and everything. So it's not freedom.
And the second thing is this mobile data. So we were using that 5 years ago, by the way, to basically figure out what kind of mobiles they have. Okay. And it's insane, like people were carrying in the 5 years ago, $700 mobile and asking for $700 loan, by the way. So it's kind of, that there is something going on. Now, as I said, in Asia, it works, but unfortunately, you can't use a lot of the data in Europe and US, by the way. So, and you have to give reasons. So anyway, people have figured out how AI or generative AI, as Samantha, you said, I don't think it applies on the credit scoring part yet, unless you get into this behavioral scoring, which I believe, Louis, will happen, but I'm not sure that the US has approved it yet, given our credit framework that we have. So that's what I was more interested in understanding.
One thing, I think this technology is moving so fast. I mean, we saw generative AI with ChatGPT. Then we saw, RAG in order to make it stop hallucinating. Then we saw smart agents come in. We've seen explosion after explosion after explosion because it's essentially frictionless where we are now. It's a frictionless evolution and revolution of technology. And really regulators and politicians and, the finance community are getting left behind. However, those who can adopt it and have a competitive advantage from it that saves them money, makes it easier for people to use the product, are really going to scream ahead. It's like, in terms of forecasting the future, I doubt if anyone can forecast further than 2 or 3 weeks ahead, because we're just seeing it happen so fast and it's filtering across every single platform. So it's a kind of an amazing time to be in. As the Chinese curse goes, may you live in interesting times. And that's certainly where we are now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm not questioning the speed. I had I co-founded a company now, but before that, I was working at Wall Street Journal as the head of data engineering. And there we had a problem where, we write a lot of articles in English, but the challenge was to convert that same article into 29 other languages using generative AI. And we saw significant challenges, technical challenges, nothing to do with articles, which you will see in any application, by the way, because the fundamental technology doesn't change. Like Chinese was a problem, and it's essentially anything that is like Arabic was a problem. A lot of those things were problems, so which is still not solved. Even in English, English we didn't have to, but the reverse was not true. Like if I take Spanish and convert into English, that was a major challenge, basically. It was getting 80-85% right. So sometimes the intent is lost. Sometimes they don't even understand so the question is, how long keep training? And what I saw is, and this is real, and this will happen in finance also, and I wanted to share is, we were doing, I can't tell the use case, but I can tell you what we were doing. We were trying to create some content, like sub bullets for an article. So fair point. So I was part of doing the POC, and the idea was to do 20 articles every day. And it kind of went very well, where the chief editor was saying that, look, this almost mimicked me. And we were getting almost out of 20 articles, they will pass 18, 19 of them, 1 or 2, they'll find errors. Guess what happened? That they changed their writing style. And within a month, that 90%, 95% hit came down to 50%, by the way. So those things also you have to be very, very careful on when you handle generative AI specifically, because as Samantha made it clear, don't confuse yourself with AI and generative AI. They are very different things. Generative AI was built for a different problem. AI was built for a different problem, by the way. And if you mix it up, your head will spin.
Yeah, because AI was invented before to make a rule-based understanding reasonement, like Socrates logic or first-order logic. And then the difference between the past and now is that AI use a lot of data and make a prediction based on data. Before was not in data, but was based on rule. So for sure, it's very different. And the thing that I said before about regulation and the usage of other other source of information like social network or other things, or like, for instance, X, that was the Twitter before, is because in US it's possible, because it's not possible to do this kind of stuff in Europe. That's just a puntualization, because in US you can using a lot of data came from the credit card company, bank, and you can mix the data with the behavior, and you can understand which kind of message you can send to a specific customer to make their votes or their purchasing. So we saw a lot of scandal about that, but it's still possible. Unfortunately, in some area like US, it's not possible. Fortunately, in Europe, so where I live, that's lucky me. That's sorry, just to keep.
We have a question coming from one of our viewer. Can AI truly replace traditional underwriting and credit scoring models?
Yeah, that is my real question, by the way.
So, yes, so we were discussing the same and the question just came up. So, Nina, would you like to add something?
The key thing is, see, it can, if you ask me, given that I tried it in that startup for 1.5 years. What we saw, the results were outstanding. Okay, don't get me wrong. So I'll give you some numbers. So we took the denial data. So like, let's say the bank gave us whatever they have rejected and whatever they have approved. We started from there. And we could easily swap 20% on each side, which is a high number. So you take 20% of the approved, which you should not have approved, versus 20% of the ones that you didn't approve should have been approved. So we could see that immediately. So you could actually reduce your risk profile significantly. So far it worked. The problem was that when I had to give them exact 3 reasons on why the deny happened, I could not do it accurately, because it was in XGBoost model. It had like hundreds of parameters. And it's like, okay, I took this. It's like, man, I mean, how do I explain this to a consumer who I have to give 3 reasons? That was the problem we ran into. So don't get me wrong. We had astonishing results, by the way.
But there are examples. I mean, there's Credit B in India. That's an AI-powered personal loan for young professionals. They've got the models trained on app behavior, repayment patterns, and smartphone data. They're working. There's a company called Upstart in the US that's doing AI underwriting for banks and credit unions. They've got about 1,000 plus data points beyond the FICO scores, and they're claiming a 27% higher loan approval rate with a 40% lower default rate. You know, there's Kashi in India also doing AI-based credit scoring for new to credit population. So there are specific, examples of people currently implementing this technology and being successful at it, making money at it, and using it. So it's not if it's happening or when it's happening, because it's happening now, and people are testing these things out, launching them, and trying them out.
Upstart is a company that the startup I used to work with, we used to compete, by the way. Okay. So I know a lot about Upstart.
Sure.
The question, how they got around that 3 reasons, I don't know in the US. That I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people are asking, can AI do such and such? The thing is, it's already doing it. It's moving that fast. I mean, because I literally look at every day, the last 24 hours of headlines, and it's anywhere between 1,500 to 3,000 AI headlines. And of course, I use AI to filter it. But, every single industry is getting impacted as everything's moving so fast. People can launch an app in 2 hours and it can go global, and it can just totally change a whole system. So we're seeing that across the board in every industry, let alone fintech.
That's really true. And now we have another question. Can fintechs be ethically profitable when using predictive behavioral data to encourage spending or investing habits? So, Francisco, would you like to answer this question?
I don't have so much to add in this question. I would like just to add something to the previous question, because I think it's important because we can make an AI agent, and we can also create a synthetic customer, and that we can speak each other to understand what they say in the discussion. But the human, I think, is the most important part in the system that can avoid some bias that has been created by people that created the model. So that's in the past. So of course they can replace, but the human is the only place where people that is outside the bias rule can be saved. So that's for the previous question. For this one, I don't have anything to add. I'm just wondering, probably at the end of the discussion, I had something, but at the moment,
I've seen
no.
some startups here in Atlanta that are working to test for bias in AI applications. And when that'll be the next compliance rule, I think, because in Canada they do it all the time. Having a Canadian bank or two as customers when I worked at the AI startup drive me bananas on bias testing. It was brutal. But to be able to do that and test for bias is gonna, I think, be the next wave on, instead of AML, and you got AML, you have all the other things that are out there, the money laundering, KYC, all that stuff. Testing for bias, I think, is going to be the next.
Yeah, a good company is fair play. They've got fairness as a service where they're trying to detect discrimination in lending decisions. A lot of good work by them at the moment.
Yeah, I also think that working for Texternal, I mean, we do hiring, and the New York City, I can't remember the law 144 was about how are you able to identify if there's biasness in the hiring process, and it's the same thing in any kind of AI tool. It's where that biasness sits. It's going to be there, and are you able to identify if that biasness has crept into the decision?
And what about the edge cases as well, right? Like while many scenarios have been trained and there is valid data and historic data that exists for that, but then what about the new scenarios or the edge cases, which requires human intervention, which might require going through an ethical dilemma, for instance, in healthcare maybe, or hospitals, or so I guess I don't think AI can replace humans ever, because those are the areas where human intervention would be required continuously. Although I'm sure that there is a lot of data that can be processed very quickly, with AI. It is becoming more and more adaptive, helping with quick decision making, and but that's only for obvious and trained patterns. For the non-obvious ones, it's still a struggle.
And I think that's where legislation will come in, right? Is who's responsible, and at which point in any part of the decision-making tree, the system, where should humans come into the to the decision, and where should AI be allowed to make decisions on its own? And I think maybe that's where legislation and regulation supports businesses. Not in terms of curtailing AI and the development of AI, but how do you use it? No, it's going to be part of it. How do we use it in a responsible way?
Yeah, healthcare's gone a long way with that. They have software as a medical device already scoped out and done. AI is really a bolt-on on top of that. So there's a lot of people really focused on how do you assign responsibility when things go wrong. Obviously, in healthcare, it could go terribly wrong. Finance is one thing, but your health is obviously higher. So, but you're absolutely right. The need for regulatory review, the need for, where does responsibility actually lie? How are we going to compensate people? And those are real key issues that we really have to work and solve.
Yeah, for this kind of issues, we have a term, we have a thing called explainable AI. Now, what happens that the AI takes a decision, people they keep on asking questions, okay, why the system has taken this decision, but there is no explanation. So what happens that when we design an AI system, we make sure that it's explainable, it can explain, it can provide justification for its decisions. Now allow me some time to give me a little use case that's again based on a microfinance industry. And we know that we receive a lot of applications for loan. And in order to process those applications, some human is needed to go through the entire application and to see whether and to come up with the credit worthiness and to see whether the loan can be granted to that person or not. So in this company, I'm not naming them. They are pretty big now. So what we did, like we automated the application process. Like the person who wants the loan, he did not type anything. He will simply turn on his camera and answer some simple questions which appear on the screen. Say, for example, how much loan you want, how exactly you are planning to repay the loan, where you are going to invest the money, stuff like that. So 3 or 4 questions are going to be there, and it's going to be recorded along with the voice, along with the facial expression. So what happens after the video gets recorded and it gets sent to the server, the AI analyzes it by frame, and there are 3 basic components that we use. One is the NLP. NLP basically it does understands the entire text that has been said and finds the justification, try to find the justification of all the answers that he has given. There is a sentiment analysis. The sentiment analysis is also done. Facial expressions are also studied. There are 16 points on our face, and this contraction of these muscles can generate various kind of facial expressions, it's like sorrow or amaze, or you if you're happy or you're sorrow, if you're amazed, if you're angry, and if you're surprised, if you're taken aback. So these expressions are also being studied using computer vision, and we have models for facial emotion detection. So the input comes from the NLP, input comes from the sentiment analysis, input comes from the logical explanation of the answer, and the input also comes from the facial expression. And then it creates a score, and also it justifies that why this person is has or why this person should be granted this particular loan, or if not, and it properly come up with a justification including all the parameters from the text to voice and to facial expression. So that's the first kind of screening. And then the next stage is that some human can, if there's an edge case, always a human can detect that, okay, fine, probably this decision is wrong or something like that. But if the justification is always given by the AI why this particular application is accepted or why this is getting rejected.
Yeah, the main question is to have the right to record biometrically information. That's the point that I saw before, because of course, if you have this data, facial expression and everything else, you can be more precise. But what else happened to my data when the bank or the company has this data, can merge with other data that my neighborhood or the other people like myself that answer to the same question in the same devices, that it's a big issue to be analyzed, let me say. But of course, it's good.
Yeah,
Also, blood pressure and
yes,
stuff.
expressions are actually what happens that it records the EMI number and there's the Aadhaar card thing and all that. So it personalizes that data, and then the data is kept secured, and data handling policies are also there in place. Like this data is not going to be shared. Only there is one line is written in every policy that for R&D purpose this data can be used, like for training models or something like that, but not for any other purposes. So yeah, so those kind of data handling policies are there, and the person who's using the app, he has to agree to that if he wants to apply for a loan through that particular app.
Yes, Rakesh, we are actually about to conclude this. So thank you so everyone for joining this roundtable, and it is a very vast topic. So yes, just a 1 hour session won't be possible to complete everything. So I'll definitely try to I'll definitely try to organize another roundtable for this fintech industry, and I would love all of you to join it, and we can take this discussion further. Thank you everyone for joining today's roundtable. It was really great discussion, and I'm really looking forward to connecting over LinkedIn with you all guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank you.